What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about that Supermassive Games should make an Until Dawn 2, and let me explain that really fast. So I want to go through what Supermassive has done with Man of Medan and Little Hope and talk about if this path is really the right path, or if they should just, switch 180 and go to Until Dawn 2. Also, a theory that I thought of a few videos ago that I do want to trademark as my own theory, and maybe I can will it into existence. I want to pitch that to you guys. Really quickly, though, I do want to say I really do appreciate all of your guys' support on all of these Little Hope, all these Supermassive Games videos. If you guys want to keep supporting me, which I would appreciate, make sure, as always, you're liking the video, subscribing, bell icon, and all of my other social media stuff, my Twitter, my Discord, and my second channel is all in the description below if you guys want to help support me in those other places. If you guys want to join the Discord, follow me on Twitter, subscribe to my second channel, that would be awesome. So, I mentioned this before. They have 8 games in all, right? 2 games are already done. House of Ashes with Ashley Tisdale is number 3. You got 5 more after that. I don't think it's looking all that good for Supermassive. And I don't say that, I think some people may watch these videos and they hear me talk, because I have seen it over the comments of these past videos, and say, like, I'm pretty negative, I'm pretty down on it. In reality, you got to follow, like, the history. I feel like in order to make those kind of claims, you should know what you're talking about. And I'm not like attacking those people, but I kind of am. I'm a huge Supermassive fan. I have been on their side since day one. I was so excited for Until Dawn. Until Dawn surprised the heck out of everybody, right? But Until Dawn is a masterpiece. It's one of my favorite PS4 games of all time. It's one of my favorite games, horror games. Any section you want to put it in, it falls in the top of all of them, okay? It's an amazing game, and they've never been able to pull it off since. Now, you could argue, could they ever pull it off after a game like that? I think they could. The point is, Until Dawn doesn't have to be about a person dressed up like in a mask like Josh was. It doesn't have to be Wendigos. It doesn't have to be ghosts, right, where they did kind of the Ouija board, kind of like middle, like 2/3 in kind of section. Until Dawn was a lot of different things. You don't need to make it with the same characters. You don't need it to be the same setting. You know what I mean? In reality, the games they've made, Man of Medan and Little Hope, do you know what they have in common? And this is something that I think is kind of obvious, but something that I think people forget about, is it takes place all in one night or one day or in one very small section of time. Little Hope jumped between hundreds of years apart, so that doesn't necessarily count, but they're very in themselves, right? They're very small. That's what Until Dawn was. Until Dawn, like literally until dawn, like when in the morning. So that's what that game's premise. All this stuff was happening all in one night, and so that's one thing that I think that they could easily pull that off together. And again, if you want to make the argument, technically they've made 2 Until Dawns, they just haven't done a good job of. But the biggest thing to me is this. Again, we've talked about the mistakes that Man of Medan and Little Hope made. And again, I'll give you this. Little Hope is much better. And I've said this. Again, I think people focus on a lot of the negative things I say, and they don't focus on the positive, which is pretty much what the world is all about now anyway, right? I don't really blame people, but I do have positive things to say about Little Hope. I think that it did take a lot of steps in the positive direction. But the biggest issue to me is this. These games are coming out too fast. These games I don't think have enough time to be fully realized, and they're not different enough. They're not taking they're not like challenging themselves. They're not taking risks. They're not doing new mechanics. They're not doing new features. Like, yeah, they're switching locations. Yeah, they're switching characters. Any game would do that. Even sequels to games, yeah, they may have the same characters, but everything else, there's a lot of borrowed stuff, but there's still a lot of new stuff, right? Except for, I guess, really, really lazy sequels. But, you know what I mean? Like, that'll always happen. The thing is, the biggest, I think, detriment to what they're doing with these 8 games, and also Little Hope, is that Little Hope is better than Man of Medan. But is it a sign of, like, good things to come? No, I think it's another sign of this is going to get bad. It's still going to get bad. Like, no matter what, I think every game we're going to start to see more and more issues. Like, yeah, they may look better. Like when I saw Ashley Tisdale in House of Ashes, it's like, oh my God, that's literally her. Just like all these other games. I mean, visually, like their faces, the motion capture, even back in Until Dawn, which is 5 years old, that still holds up now, at least motion capture-wise. They were so ahead of the curve, and I would argue even right now, they're at least at the curve, if not still ahead of the game, right? So, I mean, I give them full props for that. But the thing is, was this 8 Pictures anthology, the Dark Pictures anthology, was that a good move? I really don't think it was. I've been saying that since the beginning, that I'm very worried. Now, I've said this, and this is the important thing. I've said I'll support them. I've said that I will buy them all, play them all, give them chances on them all, and I've done that, and I still will do that. So I do want to make that clear, because people will say, oh my God, he's just being so negative. No, I've already given them $60 in 2 years, and I'm willing to do it again next year and the year after and so on, if nothing else than to kind of complain about it, right? I mean, that's my right. It's your right to watch or not watch. But, that's the thing where, why did it have to be like this? It's not like an EA Sports thing, but they're kind of making it to be, where it's actually the same argument. If EA took a year off, I mean, if they took like 2 years to make their game instead of 1. Now, remember, the development time for sports games is like 8 months, because they have to worry about the post stuff for the game they just did, and then getting ready for the next game. That's what even, the company, like the EA teams that make it, they have 8 or 9 months to develop the next game in whatever franchise you want to say. Madden, NHL, FIFA, they have like 8 to 9 months. That's not enough time. And that's why we only see literally a handful. Normally they go with 5, sometimes they go with 3 or 4. We see literally a handful of features that they're going to add to the game, but most of it's roughly the same. Little Hope and Man of Medan are good examples of literally that. It's just a different genre where, yeah, it's a different story, it's a different characters, it's a different it's a different setting, it's a different set of rules, kind of, but you see repeats. You see the same kind of things that. You see the same stupid jump scares that do not work. At least to me, they don't. I know I saw some people say that it does work. That's fine. But I think generally, you can see around the internet, the game's not all that scary. The game doesn't really build tension. And so I think it's a lot of and that's what made Until Dawn so special, guys. It's the little details. So this maybe isn't so much of an argument for making Until Dawn 2, but they shouldn't have done this 8-game thing. They should have taken a break, spent 2, 3, 4 years to make a game. That's what they should have done. And you could have made it Until Dawn 2. You could have made it Little Hope, even if you didn't do Man of Medan. And from the time that you wanted to do this Dark Pictures anthology to right now, the only game we got was Little Hope. I bet you Little Hope would have been at least double as good. I truly do believe that, because it would have had more time. And I guess that also hinges on they were not also working on House of Ashes, right? Because that would also kind of slow them down. It's the Telltale thing. It's the EA thing. These are always recipes for failure. You can't indefinitely or forever work on the game before while also working on the current game, or also prototyping and getting ready the game after. You can't do 2, 3, 4, that many things all at one time. Telltale, it literally bankrupt. I mean, that's the reason they closed. Okay, that's the reason. You look at EA. They're making a lot of money from them, but they have those really psychological kind of gimmicks, right? With the Ultimate Teams, makes them a lot of money. They're fine with it. Some people that spend the money on it are obviously fine with it. You know what I mean? So they make a ton of money on it. But even that, you could argue that if you take a couple years off and you go into a new game, you do notice changes. And so it's probably the same thing you would notice in Supermassive. If you didn't play Man of Medan, if you maybe played Man of Medan, skipped Little Hope, played House of Ashes, maybe you notice a significant change. Now, one final thing I do want to say, because I do want to make this an Until Dawn kind of centric thing. I do feel, and this is literally a prediction, this is something, again, I want to will into existence. It would be cool if they kind of, I don't even know what kind of prank it would be, or what kind of word you would use to do that. If they had the 8th game be literally called Until Dawn 2. I feel like after 6 of these or 7 of these, we're going to be so tired of them. People are going to be like, are you, you're still going? I can't believe it. I feel like it would be just ironic. Again, I really don't know the word, but it'd be like a gotcha moment where it's like, we'll give it to you just because, but we're going to do it kind of for ourselves. It's not because you asked us for it, you know what I mean? However you want to word that, but wouldn't it be funny if the 8th game in this anthology was an Until Dawn 2 with maybe the same characters somehow? Now, again, I've always said Until Dawn 2 does not need to be those same characters, does not need to be the same setting, doesn't need to have Wendigos in it, doesn't need to be any of that stuff, just needs to be called Until Dawn 2 and, I guess, capture the spirit of what made Until Dawn good. Again, you could argue that's literally what these 8 games are supposed to be, that they are capturing the spirit and doing that and changing everything up. I mean, literally, what I said I think is factually true, and I bet you if we asked them, or if anybody has asked them, that's what they would say, is that if you think about what Until Dawn was, that is what we're trying to do with these 8 games. That's literally what we're trying to do. We're just not calling it Until Dawn 2. I would give them that. I would understand that. At the same time, I do think there is also power in a name, in a title. I think Until Dawn 2 would get people excited, even if the game had nothing, had nothing to do with an Until Dawn 1. So, I mean, ultimately, again, not necessarily an argument for an Until Dawn 2, more of an argument for, I just don't think this was necessary, and I feel like it's doing more harm than good. So let me know in the comments below, guys, what do you think? Do you think this 8-game thing was a mistake? Do you think they should have just made an Until Dawn 2 instead of going down this entire thing? Let me know. As always, make sure you guys, again, are subscribed, bell icon turned on. Again, all of my other social media stuff is in the description below. My second channel, my Twitter, my Discord. Thank you guys so much for the support. I really, really do appreciate it. I hope to see you all on the next video.